Johnson's got a touchdown for Johnson. He caught that. 53-yard touchdown, slant, touchdown.
Yeah, same thing.
It is the playoff push, and right now it's the calm before the storm. High school football stadiums from all across Texas, empty, but they won't be tonight, won't be tomorrow, and they weren't last night. Bobby Mendez alongside Hector Ledesma, and we welcome you to a special high school football playoff edition of the playoff push. And Bobby, already not only into the playoffs, but we're into round two, the area round already.
Yeah, we couldn't stay away, right, Hector? So we just, the excitement is just a lot, and especially with so many teams in our area that are competing in the state playoff run, it is going to be exciting, and we have a lot of expectations from all the local teams here.
Speaking of expectations and local teams, Steel playing last night, welcoming, in a sense, Far San Juan Alamo, that one over at Hero Stadium. Steel only the one loss this year, and it came to a non-San Antonio area team, although the Bears saying, you know what, we're here to play. Second play from scrimmage, Ryan Vallejo. 80-yard pass from Miles Lopez, and 27 seconds into the game, Far San Juan Alamo takes a 6-0 lead. They missed the extra point, ensuing kickoff. Steel says, oh yeah? Royal Capel headed to Oklahoma State and showing you why right here. Takes the pitch on the kickoff, and 75 yards later, he's given the Knights a 7-6 lead. We've played 38 seconds of football at this point, and already 2 touchdowns, and the Steel offense has yet to hit the field. They have yet to hit the field when Marshall Canner goes pick 6 for 45 yards, and we've played less than 2 minutes in the game, and Steel has 14-6. Their offense still has yet to touch the field. They finally do, and when they do, Grant Hamilton, 11-yard pass from Chad Warner. It is a team that is loaded, a team that is scary, and Steel goes on to win 63-12. That final score, Bobby, I know you were there last night to take that in firsthand, and Steel, woo, when they get going, they get going.
You know, it was a great opportunity to be there on the sideline near the Steel athletes. Those are some big boys, and I can see why some of the top schools in the country have a lot of eyes on that football team right there. Basically an all-star team in college waiting to get it to the next level. So just by that mere performance, look, their opponent wasn't that bad. Like, they had a really good record coming into that ball game, and there were moments of brilliance for them as well. But Steel, just way too much.
Yeah, we're going to get into just how good Steel is in terms of individual talent in just a little bit. But a couple of other scores to get you caught up on games involving local teams that happened last night. Austin Vandergrift, that's who Steel is going to get next, because the Vipers beat Sotomayor 51-0. So Sotomayor had a good season out of that Northside ISD. Their season comes to an end. Lavernia, how about the Bears? Their season's still going. They get a 13-10 win. It's a big one against Austin LBJ. So again, Austin Vandergrift, that's who Steel gets next. Lavernia, they move on to the regional semifinals in their classification. Those not the only 2 teams, in addition to Steel, that were in action last night. Also, these 2 games, implications, because we could see Alamo Heights and Bernie 2 rounds from now. Before getting ahead of ourselves, Alamo Heights, they get a 75-14 win against Mercedes. So the Mules keep a fantastic season going with their all-everything back/quarterback/receiver Michael Terry. Bernie, 38-3. The Greyhounds continuing a fantastic run in 5A Division II, beating Ed Koch Elsa 38-3. And if Bernie wins in the regional semifinals and Alamo Heights wins in the regional semifinals, they'll meet in the regional final.
And thankfully, Hector, as much football as we do all season long, been able to watch Bernie, been able to watch Alamo Heights, been able to watch Lavernia, those teams, they are all great athletic teams, of course, to be in this position. But when they match up against each other, that's going to be pretty exciting as well. Someone's going to take it to the next level, and it's just going to be who's going to want it more, and athletes on all of these teams. So if you're able to make it out there, I suggest getting out there or trying to watch however you can.
Yeah, and so in that Bernie-Alamo Heights potential matchup we talked about, that means that if they get to that point, and again, they need to win one more game each respectively to get there. If they get to that point, one of those 2 would move on to the state's Final Four. A team that I think a lot of folks around here think has a great shot to get to the Final Four is Steel. Talked about them just moments ago, Bobby, and you're talking about how they're an all-star team in waiting. It is a roster that is loaded just up and down.
Yeah, that it's something special to see. Again, being on the sidelines, I'm not that big of a guy, but I am in awe when I walk in that steel sideline.
Jalen Cooper, receiver you see on your screen, he's going to SMU. Running back, Mr. Hatton, he is going to Oklahoma. He's just a junior, Jonathan Hatton. Christian Watson's going to Lafayette. The quarterback, Chard Warner, who makes it go. A touchdown pass to Jalen Cooper here from a game earlier in the season when they beat Steele. He's going to UTEP. They got Sean Robinson, a defensive player, going to Arizona. Talked about Royal Capel during the highlights, going to Oklahoma State. Julian Hugo and others, they have offers from Arizona. Eli Johnson, he has 9 offers, and he's just a sophomore. So it tells you just how good this Steel Knights team is and why a lot of folks think they have a chance to go state at the very least, if not, well, state, and if not the very least, then state semifinals. So a fantastic Knights team that has a lot of talent to go with the culture that they're building.
And it seems though, Hector, obviously Steel, fairly a new school, not tons of history, right? But from their inception, they've just been year in and year out a competitor in this great division of football, and nothing different this year. They just have it all going on, and it's just a matter of how far can they go.
Yeah, and already a state championship under their belt. Malcolm Brown leading them to state glory. Can't believe it's been coming on 15 years since they won that state championship, but seeing if they can do it again over at Steel. We are just getting started right here on the playoff push. When we come back, a look at tonight's games. Saturday game involving an area team as well, but all that and more, as well as points of view coming up as the playoff push continues right after this.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 walking on beams of light, 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 light.
Playoff push continues as you take a look there at Ferris Stadium, one of several stadiums that not hosting a playoff game this weekend, but hey, Ferris, one of those venues where you never know. Probably a playoff game or two will find its way here before it's all said and done. Let's talk about some of the games going on Friday night. Now, let's start with Piper, because along with Steele, they're the team that I think a lot of folks think, Bobby, could make a run to state. They are perfect. Not only have they not lost, they barely had any close games. They've beaten Johnson. They've beaten Davenport. They beat Bernie. They beat Smithson Valley. They beat New Braunfels. They're just a load, and a team that, along with their quarterback Caden Keith and Isaiah Champagne, a fantastic receiver, a great receiving core that also includes Andrew Grindstaff, Evan Drake, John Hamilton, Brady Hopper back in. We haven't even got to their defense. Just a fantastically talented team, and a young one at that here in Greater San Antonio.
And how long have they been in high school?
This is only their 3rd year of actual competitive high school football. They played 4 years, but that first season was an outlaw schedule. So this is their 3rd official year of UIL.
Yeah, impressive. Especially, I got to watch a Piper game last year. It was the Alamo Heights game in the Alamo Dome. And boy, was that an impressive game between both of them. It was a back and forth game, and Piper, getting it at the end of the ball game just to win it. But like you mentioned, Hector, Piper just a force to be reckoned with, and they're going to be an exciting matchup here too. They're projected, I think, in my opinion, to go a long way as well.
Yeah, defensively, they have a guys named Jackson Hopper. We talked about Brady, his brother, a good defensive back. Raja Lopez, also a good defensive back. Got a guy named Thor Michael Bust. Great football name, right? Thor Michael Bust wreaks a lot of havoc on that defensive line. So look out for that Johnson game on Friday night. Also going on Friday night, Brennan. Now, this is going to be tough for the Bears, Bobby, because Austin Westlake is a tough out for anybody. But Brennan, a fantastic season after rebounding from a season opening loss to Reagan. Reagan got him, and I think folks thinking, uh-oh. But the very next week, the Bears, as you see on your screen, went into Spring Branch and beat a Smithson Valley team that just about nobody goes into Spring Branch and beats. Brennan did it. Well, lo and behold, in last week's first round of the playoffs, Brennan getting payback on Reagan, and they knocked off the team that beat them to start the season to start with the Bears' hope as a playoff run now.
Yeah, every year we get to do a game with Brennan, and every year I enjoy talking to Coach Baser, and he knows that the Achilles heel for this team are those Austin schools, and I know that they're going to try really hard to break that. Austin, for some reason, the San Antonio teams just have a really tough time when they have to make that trip.
Another team that's in action on Friday is Johnson. We talked about the Jaguars a little while ago. One of their losses came to Piper, but a good year for Johnson in that they not only won the district championship, but beat Reagan for the first time in a couple of years. Over the last several years, the Rattlers had their number in that great backyard brawl type rivalry. But Johnson led by the aptly named Bubba Johnson, who scored 6 touchdowns in a game against Roosevelt early this season. Really a team that, even with the loss of Ty Hawkins, still find themselves in chance to make a long playoff run, although Lake Travis, that's going to be really a big challenge tonight.
Yeah, Johnson, of course, is going to have their work cut out for them. But again, Hector, this is a very good Johnson football team, very well balanced. Again, their quarterback coming in and doing a fantastic job, as you just mentioned, taking over for Hawkins. But it's just we're just gonna have to see, because again, it's a Johnson school versus a San Antonio school versus an Austin school, and have we been able to make that push for a win against those teams?
It's interesting you bring up the Austin area schools, because in all the 3 teams we're talking about, you mentioned Coach Baser, and talking about those Austin area schools, Piper's head coach, Nick Rogers, saying something very similar. We're aware of the fact that when it gets to a certain point of the playoffs, that's when San Antonio area teams tend to flame out. Well, Rogers won a state championship when he was an assistant over at Cedar Park. So he knows a thing or two about going beyond that regional final. And best of luck to Piper, Johnson, and Brennan for their games on Friday night. Now, that they are not the only teams playing tonight and tomorrow. We'll preview more of those games and give some thoughts, maybe some predictions as well, as the playoff push continues.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 walking on beams of light, 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 light.
Playoff push continues. Bobby Mendez alongside Hector Ledesma. We talked about Johnson, Piper, and Brennan, all with big games. All of them facing very good opponents. Not only are they good themselves, but very good opponents. Kind of playoffs that should present themselves later in the postseason, happening in the second round, the area round. But those aren't the only teams from the greater San Antonio area who are playing this weekend. Bella, let's show them some of those other squads that are in action starting on Friday night. And it's a list of schools that also think they have chances to go deep. New Braunfels Canyon, they'll take on Brownsville Veterans Memorial. East Central, some folks consider them a surprise team of the year. They take on Westico. Harlan taking on Dripping Springs. New Braunfels taking on Far San Juan Alamo North. Smithson Valley, they're down in the valley against Edinburgh, taking on Vela. And Port Lavaca Calhoun taking on Davenport. Just some of the matchups going on tonight throughout the area. Also got several more Shiners taking on Brackett. And you see Refugio, Thorndale, and some other schools that are in action. But as we look throughout the weekend, Bobby, schools you're going to have, or a team maybe that you're going to have your eye out on as we come up on this second and area round of the high school football playoffs.
Yeah, we talked about Brennan. And we've been able to see Brennan over the course of the few years that we've covered them. But I think this might be the year that they're able to get over that hump. So that's one of the games that I'll be really primarily paying more attention to, because I think this team might has that special something in it.
And one of the teams that I'm going to have my eye on is Holy Cross. We have not mentioned them yet, but the Knights, boy, they are some kind of good. A team that went to the TAPS State Championship game last year, Bobby. They lost in a close game, and they return just about everybody, and they have been perfect this season. Among their 2 wins are victories against Central Catholic and Antonian. Both schools are bigger than Holy Cross is in TAPS. Both schools made the playoffs. And it goes to show how good a season Holy Cross has had, that they not only beaten those teams, but beaten 8 others during a regular season en route to a perfect 2024, and then opening the playoffs, in spectacular fashion. And they'll take on Fort Worth Lake Country. And so we'll see what happens there. But either way, a fantastic showing for the Knights as they take the field against Fort Worth Lake Country in Jarrell, and we'll see how that plays out for them. But a team that really has title aspirations.
Well, it's got to have a lot, because if they got a Central Catholic guy giving such praise to Holy Cross, you know that it's been a spectacular season.
Yeah, and they've been really, really good this year, not only offensively but defensively. I know offense gets a lot of the love, and rightfully so, but defensively they've been very, very good. Really, just an entire team effort, and so they're a team. Look out for them. They have a chance to go far and win a state championship. The state quarterfinals is where they are in TAPS Division 3 is their official listing as they look for a state championship. All right, when we come back, some final thoughts as we wrap up the playoff push. We're back after this.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 shine. Walking on beams of a light, 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 light.
Playoff push continues. Get you set for Friday and Saturday game action. We mentioned all the Friday games and a lot of them going on. Antonian, we talked about them. We're talking about Holy Cross. They're still alive. They got a bye because they won their district championship. And so they're one of the few, maybe the only area team who plays tomorrow on Saturday. So most of the teams played tonight. Some played last night. Antonian plays tomorrow as they look to advance beyond the TAPS second round. Bobby, give me a final take here. Prediction, just something you've noticed, just something that when you look at these high school football playoffs, something you expect to either come out of round 2 or maybe even beyond.
Well, obviously this playoff run is going to intensify as it goes on. We talked about Piper. We talked about the big heavy hitters in the local area. And I think on those that we've touched on, those are the ones that I feel like should be expected to get a really good run in the playoffs, if you will. So we talked about Brennan. I love Piper, the way they're just putting everything together. But I'm just enjoying this whole playoff push, if you will. It's just been, to start off, obviously, many teams, and each week we dwindle them down, but it's going to see who's the last one standing. But for each different division, I'm looking maybe Piper and Brennan to probably heads up to finish the furthest here in town.
We talked about how Alamo Heights and Bernie could be in store for a 5A Division II regional final. Mm-hmm. 5A Division I could give us a Piper Smithson Valley regional final. Yeah. The Warriors beat the Rangers 39-36 during the regular season. You know, Smithson Valley's got that in the back of their mind. And boy, would it be nice if Smithson Valley could not, for them, if Smithson Valley could knock off Piper in a regional final with a trip to the state's Final Four on the line. Of course, Piper would have something to say about that. But for this edition of the Playoff Push, Bobby Mendez, Hector Ledesma, thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of this second round of the high school football playoffs and beyond.